In today's video, we're going to walk you through exactly how CPA works inside Google Ads for a service-based business, including what it actually is and exactly what you should expect for yours when running a Google Ads campaign to generate leads. And now, first of all, as well, there's two variations of what CPA actually is. The first one being cost per acquisition, so the cost to acquire an actual customer. But we're going to talk about the more commonly used version of CPA inside Google Ads, which is target cost per action, and that is usually also referred to as cost per lead. And it basically means the average cost for each time someone takes one of the actions that you've outlined in your conversion tracking that you want the user to take, which as a service-based business is usually going to be either a phone call or a form submission. And so in this campaign, for example, the cost per conversion or cost per lead or actual CPA is around £41. And we're just going to walk you through some average benchmarks of what you can expect, how to roughly predict what yours will actually be, and how to also get to a position where you start bringing your actual cost per action down to a number that you actually want to be getting inside your campaign. And just to show you some cost per lead or CPA benchmarks from a WordStream article, you can see here that the average cost per leads completely vary depending on industry. And I wouldn't typically use a source like this, even if you know, for example, you offer personal services and you see an average cost per lead of $52 here. It completely varies on the actual service that you offer and also the location that you're based in as well. Because, for example, in the US, the typical cost per lead is going to be higher than it is going to be in places like Ireland or the UK. So what we like to use to really predict roughly what our average CPA will be or cost per lead is look at the cost per clicks of the keywords that we're going to be targeting in the specific locations that we're going to be targeting as well, which I'll walk you through now. So what we do at the beginning when we're about to start running any Google Ads campaign to get a rough idea of what our cost per lead is actually going to be, we first come to the keyword planner when doing our keyword research. And first of all, we enter in the actual location that we're going to be targeting. So not the full country, but we can say, for example, Manchester in this case, which is a specific part of the UK. So we want to save that then and enter in some relevant keywords to what we're going to be offering. So let's just say it's a roofing company offering roof repair services. You might enter in some things like roof repair near me, and then just press get results. So what we want to do here is have a look at what the cost per clicks are going to look like of the keywords that we're going to be targeting in this specific area. Because if in one location the cost per clicks are twice as high as the cost per clicks in another area, then the cost per lead is going to vary massively from area to area, which is why you want to do this in advance, because there's no point in looking at just general benchmarks and predicting that your cost per lead will be around there, because the locations and the cost per clicks of the keywords in those locations are really going to be a lot more accurate way of telling you what you're roughly going to be paying per lead. And we like to be as conservative as possible with this and assume that it's going to be a little bit higher than it actually will in most cases. So we can look here, for example, and what we like to do is look at the top of bid, low range, and high range, which is the minimum anyone's paying per click for this keyword in the area. And the high range then is obviously the most anyone's paying per click for this keyword in this area. And you can see here then for the top of bid, high range, that we can say that on average it goes up to about £9. And what we like to do to roughly estimate what a cost per lead might be at the very beginning is assume that our cost per click is going to be somewhere around this high end here. So let's just say £8 or £9. And assume at the beginning as well, we're going to be able to get a lead for every 10 clicks that we get inside our campaign. Meaning that if our average cost per click was £8, for example, that our CPA or cost per lead at the beginning of a brand new campaign is going to be roughly £80. Now, bear in mind as well, your average cost per click might end up being a lot less than this. And, if you're bidding, for example, £8 or £9 per click, you might end up getting a lot of your clicks for less than that amount. And it might fall, somewhere halfway between the low range and the high range. But we typically like to bid somewhere closer to the high range at the very beginning to be as competitive as possible and make sure we're actually able to get as much traffic as we actually can. And to assume as well that you'll get about one conversion for every 10 clicks, you do need to have the right landing page structure in place, as well as making sure your keywords are structured correctly in separate ad groups with relevant ads for each keyword. But assuming that you have the right general setup in place, it's a fair assumption to assume that you'll have about a conversion rate of 10% from the beginning when running a new Google Ads campaign. Now, when we first started running this campaign, the average cost per conversion was higher than this, but over time we've been able to bring it down to around £41 and are expecting to bring it down below the £40 mark as well, the more we continue to optimize and bring down our actual target CPA, which I'll show you in a moment. But what we're going to talk about now is how we actually recommend starting out your campaign and get your campaign to a point where you can set a target CPA of around £40 or a number that you've actually managed to get your CPA down to. Because what you don't want to do when starting any new Google Ads campaign is say that you want to pay 30 or £40 per lead and just set a target CPA for that amount. And because if you do that, the chances are Google Ads just isn't going to spend your budget because it has no data of you being able to get a lead for that amount. And you're simply just not going to get any traffic at all because it'll take far too long for the algorithm to determine, how to actually get you leads for this amount in the first place. So what we did for this campaign and what we recommend doing for almost any lead generation campaign for any service-based business is with your bidding strategy is to start out with maximize clicks at the very beginning where you can actually set a maximum amount that you're willing to pay per click. So in the example we showed just now, we recommend setting your max CPC bid limit close to around £8 or £9 if your budget allows you to do so. So that way you're being as flexible as you possibly can be and that you're maximizing the amount of traffic that you can get. And set your daily budget then to around 10 times this amount, meaning that you know that even if you're paying the maximum amount per click, that you know you're able to get at least 10 clicks per day. And the idea with that then is that if you're able to get 10 plus clicks per day, and you have a good structure in place with landing pages that will convert at 10% or higher, that you're going to get plenty of conversion data and about 30 leads within the first month. And that's going to allow you then to switch over to maximize conversions and actually fully benefit from Google being able to optimize for conversions because you have data inside the account of certain clicks turning into phone calls or form submissions while other clicks aren't turning into leads. And Google can start to optimize for those that are actually likely to convert in the first place. And what you can do then is either stick with maximize conversions itself for a while, but if you have got 30 conversions or so in the last 30 days, then in some cases as well, we go straight to a target cost per action. But the important part when setting a target cost per action is setting that to a number that you're already roughly paying per lead, or even sometimes a little bit higher in some cases. Because if you set your target CPA here to a number that's a lot lower than what you're already paying per lead, then the chances are you'll stop getting as much traffic as you were, and Google won't spend your budget because it's going to be trying to figure out how to get you actual CPAs for lower than what you've already been paying. Whereas if you set your target CPA to a number that you've already been paying per lead, then it's going to be a lot easier to continue generating leads. And the more you continuously optimize your campaign as well, your actual CPA will come down. And that means then you'll be able to set new target CPAs for lower than what you had previously set it for. And that's how to continuously bring down your actual CPA over time. So I hope this video helped and just gave you some clarity on how CPA or cost per action or cost per lead works inside Google Ads. And now if you do have any questions about anything we mentioned inside this video about how to determine what your cost per lead would be and how to actually start bringing that down, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you are a service-based business looking to further refine your own campaigns as well, feel free to have a look at the link in the description. And if you do like this Google Ads related content as well, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel as we'll be posting all things related to Google Ads here daily. And hopefully we'll see you inside the next video.